y'all making it real hard to record an opening to an episode when you're up there laughing while I'm trying to hold this black screen of silence for our opening scene. Hi, my name is Shawn, and welcome to Avatar The Last Podcasters. I'm Shawn. That's Jaimee right there, and then this little bitty box over here. There he is.
There we go.
That's Chris, the Objective Geek, and we're here today to talk to you about The Awakening, which is exciting because it is Book 3, Fire, Episode 1, Episode 41 overall. We're in the third trimester of this baby. Sorry, did we stop doing puns? It's a very third season. And Jaimee.
Funny enough,
You about to make an announcement right now?
Oh, my wife is in her second trimester, but
what? For real? That's awesome. Okay. I'm very ignorant sometimes. Is this something you already posted on Facebook and I just missed it?
No.
Okay, good. I don't feel bad then. All right, congratulations. That's awesome.
Oh my god! Wow. Wow. The awakening, the unveiling.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I did such a good segue that maybe you'll forgive me for not reading your messages last week.
No, it was such a good segue. I was like, oh well, this is too. It's too good to not use.
It was pretty perfect. Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Can you remind me, do you guys learn genders beforehand? Have you done that with your previous?
Yes, I'm one of those kids that I sneak look at the presents before Christmas and I peek at them. I got to know.
Mine's sitting right outside the door and it's killing me that I want really the present, not a child.
Yeah. By the time this episode airs, in a couple of days, we'll figure out what that is.
Awesome.
What it is.
What a Merry Christmas, a little Merry Christmas present. I don't know where I was going with that.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
More cute costumes.
Yeah, your costume workload is going to get greater every time you have a child. Every time.
That is true.
Entire Avatar gang.
Oh, he can have full team Avatar. That will be a lot of fun. Or, I mean, just more Batman characters is also good. Either one you want to do.
That's true. We switch off year over year usually.
It's good to have alternating. You don't want to go the same thing every year.
Yeah. I don't want to project my things that I love onto my kids.
What? That's the whole you have kids.
That's called nurturing, Chris. It's fine.
Oh no, I'm kidding. My daughter loves a lot of things that I love. Like we play Legend of Zelda all night. The other day, my wife was like, "Sometimes you seem like a little bit like you guys have a weird relationship." Talking about me and my daughter. Like, sometimes you seem like annoyed by her because like, oh no, I guess you're tired from work or something. You don't feel like playing with games with her, and other times you guys seem like siblings because you're both playing games and talking about them and stuff.
That's adorable.
But that is the prime relationship. That's great.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm trying to be open-minded here, but I'm like, if I was little and my dad came home, he's like, "You want to play Twilight Princess?" I'd be like, "Yeah, every day. Let's do this. Don't set this standard one day and then not do it the next day." Well, congratulations, Chris. Thousands, millions, however many congratulations you want. You deserve them all. And also a Happy New Year. This is the happy... I don't know why I'm still wearing the stupid hat. Sorry. Happy New Year. And, it's because I have hat hair. That's why. And we are excited because this is like the third year. Not the third full year, but it is the third year during which we will have been doing the podcast, which is pretty exciting, in my humble opinion.
What?
I know, right? And at the rate of 0.1 additional viewers per week, we are growing like a very small wildfire. A little bigger every week. Just like 2 weeks ago, too, we were talking about how Chris hit a major milestone on his YouTube channel. And I was like, yeah, I think that explains the incremental YouTube channel growth explains the like accidental podcast growth. They like trickle down to the podcast, and that explains the podcast growth. So thank you, Chris's viewers, for broadening your horizons and listening to our podcast. It's been a lot of fun, and we're really looking forward to season 3, which is what brings us here today.
Yes, my favorite season.
My favorite season, and unquestionably the best season. There's no need to have an episode about that.
Absolutely.
Because I know what the right answer is.
We will. I'm more in the firm believer that book 2 is the better book. But anyway,
I have got to get a mute button for you people.
There is so much debate out there in the Avatar world, which season is the best, and I don't understand, because to me season 3 has been indisputably the best one. But I'm going to hear your opinions.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it one day.
We will. Jaimee, I don't know how far caught up you are. We touched on like some ideals, maybe last week or the week before, of like I guess some precursor thoughts that I think are going to hold true. But it'll be a really fun big episode when we're done with the whole TV season with all 3 seasons, and we'll set aside several hours and some popcorn. It'll be a lot of fun.
Excellent.
In the meantime, we just get to look forward to the episode by episode breakdown of Book 3 Fire, and that is very exciting because there are some tremendous episodes. Not gonna lie, this may or may not be one of them.
I'm curious in it because I went in thinking one thing right before I watched, and I think I came out thinking having a different opinion about it. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll start with some good old news and fake news. Happy New Year. I know it's a couple days late, but Happy New Year, and start it off right. And just like the Christmas thing, I feel obligated to ask any New Year's resolutions you need to share. If you put it here, you hold yourself accountable. If you say it on the internet, it's in stone and you have to do it. So
I don't really have that many, do more videos that, continue to do more videos that I really love. I guess that's a fairly resolution that is not all of that impactful, honestly. Like if I miss it, I'm not gonna be like,
it impacts me, Chris, and you've already said it. You've agreed.
Yeah, and your trickle down podcast listening.
It does. My fame rests on the shoulder of videos that you love, Chris. Mine's just I don't believe in making resolutions that like not temporary things. I only want things that you're gonna do forever. Like it's an opportunity to better yourself. So if you're not gonna do it that way, then don't do it. So I'm gonna say eat more vegetables because I never eat vegetables. Gross.
Mine's kind of similar. I'm trying to become a vegetarian, but I'm starting with like 4 days a week.
Okay.
So we're in that transition.
Gotcha.
And my New Year's resolution is one eventually.
Awesome. Well, I was gonna say I just always like the idea of when you're making resolutions or those things, like it's about self-betterment, not about like, hey, this year I just want to lose a little weight. No, I just improve yourself.
Yeah.
Improve yourself. Vegetables. Ugh. You know what though? I do have I really like chicken. Sorry, I know you're going vegetarian. I really like chicken, and I have found that broccoli complements chicken extremely well. So I'm growing weirdly fond of broccoli for some reason. It's hard to say that out loud.
Broccoli compliments nothing.
Well, just because it never says nice things to you doesn't mean it doesn't compliment chicken, Chris.
Wow, good one.
That's pretty bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, Happy New Year. Make good resolutions. Better yourself in the long term. Blah blah blah. And we're here to kick it off right. What better way to start off a new year than with some of Chris's latest videos? Chris, what's in the pipeline now?
By this point, I should have a Sokka, Zuko video essay about how they both grow through humility. Also, I really want to work on this video about the Princess and the Frog and the real meaning of that movie. Also, I'm gonna come up with my best things, my best 19 things of 2019, like best movies, or my favorite movies, my favorite TV shows, my favorite comics, books, all those things.
Video game, man. You gotta play your favorite video game in there.
I don't think I have a favorite video game of 2019.
But you own a Switch?
Yeah, but I didn't buy anything new. Like I got Legend of Zelda, like in 2018.
You didn't get Link's Awakening?
No.
Oh, Chris, you need to get Link's Awakening. All right, never mind. It's fine.
New Year's resolution, get that.
That's how you better yourself. Is that all your? Sorry, did I interrupt? Is that your latest video?
Oh no. Okay. By this point, yeah, I just came out with the video. This video's come out 3 weeks after that. I just came out with a video the top 10 moments of Watchmen series, which I think Watchmen is an absolute masterpiece. I think it is the best superhero story told since The Dark Knight. Everyone should watch that series. And Shawn can watch it because I'm sure he has my HBO Go password because he bums off of everybody.
I was so confused. I thought it was the DC Universe password that I've been meaning to steal from you, but it turns out it's not.
I can't find it for some reason. I don't know what my password is. So.
You know what? Somebody had a discussion with me today. They're like, you say you don't support these things, but you bum them off other people. And I was like, it sort of almost validates my point that, like, I'll bum it off people to watch one thing and then forget the password and never log in again and not care whatsoever. So it's almost more validating. I will say I really enjoy Disney Plus. I'm considering getting it on my own because I thoroughly enjoy it, even though I hate supporting the giant Disney apocalypse machine. I do really like it. So if I had one that I'm willing to break my mold for, that might be it.
Yeah, the one I was willing to break the mold for was I'll pay full price for HBO. HBO Max is going to come out real soon. And yes, I mean, I obviously had to watch Watchmen along with all the other amazing shows on HBO. It's a good time.
Most of HBO is way too adult for my tiny little brain, but I will admit that I actually even liked the Watchmen movie. That I saw the Watchmen movie in theaters in college, so I almost never see movies in theaters, and I was in college, so I was broke. I still saw that one in theaters and thought pretty highly of it, and have since read the graphic novel, and it's like one of the 2 graphic novels I've ever read, and really like that as well. So I should. I know I will enjoy the Watchmen.
I'm currently in the middle of rereading it, and it is. I'm just all Watchmen right now. I plan to finish reading Watchmen, watch the movie, and then listen to this podcast episode from Binge Comics. They cover a lot of things. They're going to cover a lot of things about Watchmen, and then rewatch the series over. And I think I will finally be able to like end this loop of Watchmen and go on with my life.
Just watching Watchmen. All in, just let it consume you.
Yeah, why not?
Now you understand the fangirl life. You are officially a Watchmen fangirl. I hope you love it.
I think Chris has previously understood deep fanships with things. This is not a new thing for him. I think he's gotten caught in a loop or two in his previous life.
Oh yeah, I'm still in Avatar loop.
Always
been in an Avatar loop since probably started 2 years ago. My daughter started watching it in college. I was definitely in the Avatar loop. It was Avatar, Scrubs, ESPN. That was the loop.
Those are so random.
Not bad. I think Scrubs is overrated, but I don't hate it. It's fine.
You're overrated.
No, Chris, you have to be visibly rated in order to be overrated. And outside of you two and my wife, I don't think I have a rating of any type. I actually have the Watchmen, the graphic novel, out there as a gift for somebody. Not you, Chris. Sorry.
Very good, because I just bought it.
Good. Oh, that actually makes me feel like I missed an opportunity to gift it to you. A good friend who is moving, she gave it to me because she knows I was into nerd things in general, and she gave it to me. It's like sealed, and I was like, I can't even open this because I don't have it in my heart. But I had another friend, perfect candidate. So there's literally a Watchmen graphic novel wrapped up under my tree out there. Oh. I hope he's not watching this. He would have opened it by now anyway. Yeah. And also, he doesn't like Avatar, so never mind. That was stupid. That was a really good tangent, though. That was a solid tangent for a solid show. Go watch The Watchmen. Chris, I'll ask you for your information later. In the meantime, I think let's go ahead and get into the episode. Unless, Jaimee, do you have any projects you would like to plug? Because this is the perfect time.
Follow me on Twitter. It's wild.
Awesome. I can actually confirm that she posts lots of stuff on Twitter, and sometimes I like to argue with it and be contrarian, but then to let her know that we're still friends, I still just hit the like button.
I know. I appreciate it so much. All of my likes come from Shawn, just out here, just making comments on myself.
Verbally contrarian, but always hit the like button. Well, excellent. Yeah, go follow her on Twitter, and that's just at your first name, last name, right?
Exactly.
Okay, at Jaimee Rindy, but that's JaimeeRindy.
Exactly.
Got it.
Spelled somewhere in the podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, we'll put it in the description of this one for sure. And Yeah, well, with that, let's jump into the episode, The Awakening, episode 41 overall. Episode 1. Oh, I left book 2 Earth in there. Man, my editing skills went down. I know it.
PowerPoints.
I need to get a new producer or something.
I wouldn't even blame you after today. It's just been all downhill. Okay, we'll just pretend this says book 3 fire up here, episode 41.
Okay, so before we get to the episode, which it's Avatar related, trust me. But as a person who watched the show while it aired, going into book 3 was like some of the most highly anticipated things in my life. Like I remember watching the trailer for it and just so hyped. Like the trailer, it's a great trailer. Like it shows little snippets really of the first half of the season. Like you see Aang with hair, you see Mai and Zuko kiss. Like there's just so many like jaw-dropping moments. If you go and watch, because they debuted it at a Comic-Con, if you go back and watch a reaction to it at Comic-Con, it just takes you back to that time and just all the anticipation. And it's weird to think back to the time where I didn't watch the complete series of Avatar, but it takes me back to that, being in my dorm room as a sophomore in college.
For sure.
But yeah.
Even just
so it was just
for the first time, like you come off of the finale of book 2, and I remember because I think I binged it all the first time. It was on Netflix at one point. But I remember like taking like a deep breath after book 2, having to like sit down for a second, for like just put it away for a couple days or a week or whatever, and be like, okay, like book 3 is like really crazy. It's gonna be really intense. It starts off. It goes right from the very first moment, and it's just, oh wow, I get chills. I love this. I love it so much. Book 3 is amazing.
I watched it all together in more of a modern binge after the fact, so I didn't have any of that build up or anticipation. If I'm not mistaken, I even rolled from book 2 to book 3 in like the same night, like one after the other. So I know none of the same anticipation. It's really lame. But you know me, hashtag basic. That's. But I do remember thinking to myself, I was on the side for a while at least, that like I thought Aang was legitimately dead and we were about to learn some new secret avatar power type of thing. And so I was at least, all the wheels were turning more than they had at any other point in the series. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, starting off with book 3, chapter 1, The Awakening. So Aang does wake up. He has hair. He doesn't even know he has hair at first. He's really out of it. Like, you can tell he's out of it. He has bandages all over him. He's been hurt. He wakes up on a Fire Nation ship. He thinks the worst thing. He tries to attack people, and like it's just like a little gust of air. He tries to attack, I think it's Pipsqueak and the Duke. We didn't ship Pipsqueak last episode. Anyway, I have no idea.
Oh,
anyway,
you're right. Yeah.
Not important.
We're done with this. We gotta move on.
You know what? There'll be round 2 later, and we'll pick up the missed pieces.
All the characters we didn't get to.
Yeah.
First round.
Yeah.
The koi fish and the serpent, everything. Doesn't matter. We'll get them all.
He realizes that that he's on a Fire Nation ship, and Sokka and everybody are disguised as Fire Nation people because that's how they've been surviving for like, I think it's been out maybe like 3 weeks or something, which is interesting enough, right? Because Sokka pretty much gives him the lowdown exposition-wise. He's like, yeah, we captured the ship. One thing they don't address, what happened to those crew people on the ship?
Take no survivors.
They either killed them or they're prisoners down there somewhere, because you can't just let them go. They'll tell people about the ship.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be good. Maybe they like stole the ship from a scrapyard, or the ship was harbored, or I have no idea. Actually, I'm just trying to cover it up.
I remember the rewatch when I watched this like really recently, like this past summer. The first time I saw this episode, I thought nothing of it. I was like, oh, that's clever. Like, they're on the Fire Nation ship. I remember on the rewatch being like, so much logistical stuff was just walked right over. Like, they were like, we're just here now.
I just pictured Jaimee like pulling her hair like, this is a logistical nightmare.
Exactly. I was like, where's the ship? You stole this from them. Like, where's the crew? Like, none of you were hurt. Like, you had to get all the gear and everything. It was just a lot.
Aang is like really disgruntled because he lost. He lost at Ba Sing Se, like he was there, and Sokka tells him like, "Oh, the whole world thinks you're dead." And one thing Sokka wasn't. Sokka could have been a little bit more sensitive to that point, and he saw it as a win, which I guess you should tactically see it as a win. The Fire Nation doesn't
And
know
Aang
that
does.
the
He
Avatar
just isn't
is
quite there
alive.
yet.
Yeah. Aang is definitely in a mood. Like he feels like he is Zuko for one episode. I think talking about honor and everything. He's just lost. Like he doesn't want to listen to anybody at all.
Big talk from a guy that hid in an iceberg for 100 years. No, which that's probably why it hits him harder. I suppose is like the first time it's kind of my fault, but come on, like.
I think that it's interesting because Aang, this happens like kind of a couple times in the series. Like after Appa's stolen, he goes into this like wild, uncontrollable mood as well, and he often blames himself. Like he's always really really hard on himself, and we've seen that from the very beginning. But definitely, I remember like watching this episode and being like, "Dude, chill!" Like like we need to just think things through right now. Like they're obviously in a low point as far as their like tactical strategy goes. Things did not go the way that they wanted to in Ba Sing Se, but they're in a really unique position, and I think that Aang can't really see that because he's just so worked up, and that's kind of a flaw of his throughout the show.
Yeah, real quick, I did notice. So when Hakoda and Bato are talking to the other financial ship that comes by to talk to them, I just noticed that captain is voiced by Mark Hamill, which makes sense. They reused his voice
Nice.
because he shows up later in this episode. I was listening to it today. I was like, who is he? It's like, oh yeah, that's Mark Hamill. He just sounds like Luke Skywalker with a hinge of Joker in there. But
I got to adjust real quick too. Aang with hair, not as good a look as Zuko with hair.
Oh, agreed.
Not as good.
Not as good.
Sorry, Aang. No offense, buddy. I know it's not your fault.
It's like really impressive that Aang can like pull off just being bald.
That's his best. That's his go-to too. That suits him.
Like, that is rare. That's very rare.
Sorry, and I can't get my head out of the ships mode because now I'm thinking, man, we didn't ship Hakoda or Bato. What are we thinking?
I didn't.
So many missed opportunities.
Well, what do you mean? Get them with each other. What are you saying?
Boom, done. See, problem solved. All right, I'm over it.
So on the flip side of that, we also get a lot of exposition from the Zuko side, and I love this scene with Mai, even though we've talked about before how their relationship isn't the greatest. But Mai just comes up to him, is like, "Aren't you cold?" And Zuko's like, "I got a lot on my mind. Will my father accept me? Will he goes off?" It's like, I haven't been back home in 3 years. She's like, and you can just, if you just focus on her while Zuko, like, you can just see her emotions changing, going from like, and then she finally says, "Geez, I just asked you for code. I didn't want your whole life story." Like,
this is one of the moments that really just, I was just like, I don't like them together. Like, why is it like this? Again, we will learn in the comics things are a little different, but like, this, I hate this. I hate this so much. I'm like, he is going through so much. Like, you can't even fathom what he's going through.
And
like,
we should have called this the ships episode too, because I can't get now there's all these new things that I want to go back and say. Whatever. Next time.
No, not.
I mean, he is definitely going through a lot right now. Like, he is crossing into Fire Nation territory. He did not capture the Avatar. He is technically disobeying his father. Last time he disobeyed his father, he was burned and banished and everything. He is just completely unsure of everything.
He's absolutely terrified. Yeah, and like, I feel like she's expecting him to just be totally fine, and I'm just no not a fan of any of this.
Yeah, she's gonna have to grow up a little bit if she wants this Ty Lee thing to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, I can't believe I shipped that so so much more now. The whole cheerleader god thing is just stuck in my head.
It's comedy
great.
gold.
Yeah. Oh, you know what it's like, which I'm watching right now, and I think about the Ty Lee Azula relationship. It is so much like the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy relationship, especially if you watch the new Harley show on DC Universe. Like Harley is like Ty Lee, right? She's goofy, but she's just cranked that up all the way,
Yeah.
and Poison Ivy is just like way more melancholy, way more just kind of down. It is so much like that ship they're so similar now that I think about it. But the Harley Ivy ship, like that's canon. Like they've had relationships
That's
before.
a great ship. We love it. Love it.
Yeah. So much better than the Joker Harley relationship, which I hate sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if you ever look on Facebook, someone's like,
Ugh.
"Oh, two people gotta be crazy together. This is relationship goals." Like, you
It's
are
not-
insane.
Yeah,
Out of
it's
your
not
mind.
relationship goals at all. No, that's a bad time.
No, I'd rather be with Poison Ivy any day. Good choice, Harley.
Yeah, honestly.
Anyway, we got off on that tangent.
Oh, that's a great
so-
tangent. It's okay.
Yeah. So Zuko, so they do deliver the two twins. They deliver pretty much the exposition to all the crowd, welcoming back the heroes, which is so interesting because history is often viewed from the eyes of the winner. And here they're returning to their homeland as heroes.
Right.
Also, I want to point out their new armor looks amazing. I love seeing it. I think this is the only time we see Zuko in that armor, but we see Azula in it for pretty much the rest of the series. But it's just a nice change of look for the new season.
Yeah.
And Zuko's still just he's still just so down. Like he doesn't even look victorious. Like he's back home, crowds cheering at him, and he's just looking down.
This is like such a powerful moment. I can't get over how much I love this season. But this moment really like brings it home that like, yeah, he does not feel at home here, even though this is his home, because yeah, he's still not confident. He knows he's harboring this feeling that he did not complete what he set out to do. And he's kind of coming home under false pretenses, and he's also just, the wheels are kind to, they're turning as to whether or not he made the right decision, and obviously he goes through that question a lot in the first half of this season. And just so it's really a very striking image visually, and we're really like inside Zuko's head in this moment, and it makes me sad. It makes my heart hurt because I love it so much. I just never want him to be sad. And that's like the majority of what
You
it is.
never want him to be sad?
I never want him to be sad, and that's just
How you feeling about the all 3 seasons of the show when he's
He's just not doing well.
You have the hope. You're like, it gets better. It's fine.
I know. Well, would it surprise anybody to know that the second half of book 3 is my favorite part of the entire series?
You know what? We don't always agree on certain things, but it's mine as well. Yeah, I can get on board with that. Yeah. All the pieces start coming together, and it's very gratifying.
I mean, that's pure Zuko being awkward around trying to make... He's never made friends before.
It's so good. It's so good. But anyway, right now he's very sad.
He is. He's very upset.
Yeah. So that leads into the Fire Lord. He goes and visits him, and yeah, he's freaking out right now. Which I'm going to commend this show so much that they have saved this moment of finally revealing the Fire Lord. And I'm going to crap on the movie because they're like, oh, here's the Fire Lord. And he does not seem menacing or anything. If you didn't know that was the Fire Lord, it's just like some random guy just passing by.
Yeah, super weird.
But here they do it so masterfully. Like Zuko, they do such a good job. Zuko comes, he bends down, and he bows. Last time Zuko bowed down to his father is when his father struck him down. And you see the ominous Fire Lord, right, just standing with his fire, shadowy figure, and he talks to him. And he finally comes down to him, finally comes through the fire, and it's revealed that he doesn't look as menacing as you think he might look. Like we've been imagining how the Fire Lord looks since season one, and now it's like actually he's like I would say a charming looking guy. He doesn't look that threatening. Sure, he looks powerful, right? But he doesn't look like the evil big bad villain that you're expecting, which that says a lot about expectations and everything. And then this whole conversation here of of Ozai finally giving Zuko what he wants. Like how many times does he says he's so proud of Zuko for doing this and doing that, and when your treacherous uncle tried to sway you, you captured the traitor, and I'm most proud for your greatest achievement. You slayed the Avatar, which is just Azula just playing the freaking Game of Thrones. Like
It's honestly, this is like so. I remember seeing this for the first time, and my jaw like dropped. I was like, just when you start to feel like maybe Zuko's gonna walk away from all of this, like you think he's gonna be in the clear, and then no, this like honestly it's like a bombshell dropped, and you can feel Zuko is just kind of like his heart is dropping too, like he's back where one, honestly.
This is the episode in which, so up to this point, I have some issues with Azula in the sense of like, sometimes it feels like she's a little too overpowered too soon, and she's always kind of #extra or whatever. But I think this episode is, at least in this rewatch, I won't try to remember my initial feelings, but in this rewatch, where my fondness for her turns a corner in sort of a very clever, crafty, evil, maniacal, political way. Like, I don't know, there's more to her in a deep, thoughtful way, even if it's an evil way. And this is the first episode where on my rewatch here, that I feel that feeling for her.
I think that I knew, like, I had always thought she was super brilliant, and even like our first introduction to her, she pulls some crazy crap with the guy on the boat.
See, I hated that. I thought that was so corny.
No, I love it so much.
No, it's really corny and it's overdone. But here it feels more like genuine, crafty, clever, and not a showy clever. It feels way more under the table, mean, not overdone.
Yeah, because in one, like it is, like you're saying, it's kind of like under the table. It's much more crafty. But in another sense, this is like one of the most. This is the most cruel thing that we've seen her do. I think.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is the best way to describe it, or like chess. Like she saw a few moves ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, like we see her do some terrible things later on in the season, but this is really like, I just remember her being like, "You are heartless. You are cold. Like she just does not care what happens to Zuko. Like she could watch him die, and she probably would not bat an eye at this point, anyways. Like,
yeah,
and it's really interesting
for bait.
And it's really interesting when Zuko goes and visits her. One thing I think the dynamic here, the visual dynamic, is interesting because Zuko is like all armored up, right? You have armor on, you feel like you're protected, you're ready to go to war. She's just sleeping in her bed, like hair down. Which, by the way, hair down. Well, it's not even hair down, but different hairstyle. Azula, great. Design, great look there.
Yeah.
It really made her more of a human. Also, she doesn't have makeup. Usually, she's always wearing makeup. But like when Zuko comes right into the room, he's like, "Why did you do it? Why?" And then before she even opens her eyes, you can tell she has a smile on her face of just like, "I don't know what you're talking. You got to be more specific on what you're talking about." Yeah. Like she's not even fully engaging with him in the conversation yet Zuko's already like way up here. He's already this agitated, and she's just even kill.
I think it does kind of put into perspective again how much Zuko is trying to exist in this place that he does not belong, and how just comfortable Azula is in it, and like it's hard. Like it's hard to watch Zuko in these moments because like even as an audience viewer, and I think even young viewers, like, even children know that he is losing this battle of wits with Azula, and like you're saying, she's not even trying. So, whew, yikes.
It is funny because the thing about telling a lie, right, or the thing about manipulation is that there's a hint of believability and there's a hint of truth. Like when she tells him like, oh, you know what, you were so worried about father and everything that I decided to help you out. Like here, like, yeah, he actually probably could have used that help, but also she used that for her benefit.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant and it's evil because the way that she says it too is she's like, hey, like I'm helping you out, like she knows that if it either way, whichever way it does go, whether or not Zuko actually does accomplish this new old task, it's gonna work out in her favor. So the way that she positioned her is in a total win situation. And it heavily relies on Zuko. And like Zuko losing, you know, whether or not he actually achieves the goal or not, she's still in a good place, which is why she is playing the Game of Thrones. And dang, she could take all of Westeros, honestly.
Oh, she would destroy. She would destroy Westeros, like especially Cersei. Anyway, not. So that pretty much kind of ends the Fire Nation side of this episode. On the other side of it, Aang is feeling like he's lost his honor and he runs away. I think, and it's not clear where he's running away to, and I don't think it's supposed to be clear. Like he's just trying to get out there again. And here comes the moment that I love most in this episode. Katara realizes that Aang has run away. And she goes to her father, and Mae Whitman, the voice actress, if you don't know who Mae Whitman is, she's was also in Parenthood. She was in lots of other things. But she does, I think she gives her best performance, I think, in this scene with her father. She's like, Aang's run away. He has this foolish idea that he needs to take on responsibility by himself. And then her father's like, maybe this is his way of being brave. And she's like, no, it's not being brave. It's dumb. Like, doesn't he know that he needs us, that we need him? And then his father's like, you're talking about me too. And then she kind of breaks down at this moment of like we know what you had to do was right, but didn't you? But we needed you. And this is one of those things of just like, this is the casualties of war. This is what war does to families. Like no one is wrong here, but she has this. It's not even misguided anger at her father. It's rightful anger, but what was he supposed to do? Like he had to go do that.
I think like I see this moment so differently over the years. Like at first I remember being like really kind of thrown off by this because it kind of felt like this was coming out of nowhere for Katara, where I was like, her father's been gone for a really long time, and they kind of they kind of get him back right now, but it's kind of clear that he's not gonna be with them for the entirety of the season, and it's kind of like this little like, okay, we don't really know what's gonna happen here. But at first I thought this really came out of nowhere because I was like, wouldn't Katara have like bigger things to be concerned about? But then like kind of what you're saying about the casualties of war, and sometimes it just comes, in waves, these piled up bits of emotion that she just has to like let out, and now she's feeling some sort of similarity between Aang and her father. And yeah, no, it's a powerful moment for sure, and you kind of just realize that, hey, she's a kid and they're all kids, and that's, and she just wanted her father to be safe. She just wants Aang to be safe. And
then Hakoda holding her gives something so back. Is like, every night I would stay up and think about you guys, and I would think about you guys so much that it would ache. Like that's some deep father love right there.
For sure. Yeah.
Greatly written. I don't know. I got to see who wrote these episodes. I do know Giancarlo Volpe, friend of the show, not really, but he directed this episode.
He is if we say it with enough conviction.
Friend of the episode, yeah, no question. Yeah, totally.
Someday he'll join us.
That would be amazing. Get him on.
Maybe one. Yeah, maybe one. I can try and get him on there. He's working on the Dragon Prince. He's working on something for Nickelodeon again, though, is what I read, which makes me think he might come off the Dragon Prince. Anyway, but yeah, so just great written stuff there.
Yes.
You have anything else to add on there, Shawn? About Katara's hatred and not hatred, just anger towards her father.
I don't know about the anger towards the father, but I think in general I really like the parallels between Aang feeling alone and forsaken when he ran away 100 years ago, and then he runs away this time. But obviously he is captured, essentially is found and forcibly reminded that he is not alone and that they have a responsibility to each other.
Actually, Shawn, that's a great point that you bring up about the parallels, because just as Aang tries to run away, as he did the first time, and he ended up in the iceberg.
For different reasons, but still running away.
But yes, but the point is that he was turning away from the people that were going to help him, rather than kind of letting them help him. But that is also paralleled with Zuko in this episode, who kind of finds himself in the very situation that started his journey as well. So this opening episode has these two characters who are always mirrors of each other. They're consistently framed as mirrors. They're
parallels of parallels.
Exactly. We just have parallels on top of
parallelception.
And I think it's really interesting because obviously we know how season 3 ends, we know where it goes, but looking at this first episode, these two characters make the same decision, or they're forced to do the same thing that they once had to do and made the wrong choice, and now the question is what choice they're going to make and how it's going to play out differently. So good catch there, Shawn. We love parallels. I love them so much. I want all the parallels.
All right, I'm gonna throw you a bone here, Jaimee, and mention a parallel between Zuko and Katara. So it's
Chris.
it's interesting enough, right? So right before Katara has a conversation with her dad in the episode, Zuko has his first conversation with his dad, and it's been, I think, like 3 years since he saw him. And then directly the scene after that is Katara confronting her father. And both of them haven't seen their father in probably 2 or 3 years each. And it's interesting how differently they approach each other, how differently those fathers are.
The contrast for sure. But yeah, that's a really important parallel too. This episode is actually really, really brilliant, and I think it's kind of funny because it almost flies under the radar, but like it's really, really strong.
It definitely does for me, but we'll talk about that more when we get to the ratings.
Yeah.
All right, so the episode ends with Aang running away. He gets on his glider. Glider's broken and everything. Gets on a raft thingy, rafts over whatever. That breaks, and he feels like he's like I've failed. Like I failed. And then Roku appears. Roku pretty much admits like, hey man, this is all my fault. And and this was like the first time I was like, dang, Roku. Why? Well, at first I was like, Roku, why do you think that? I mean, you vanished, right? And later we learned like, Roku, this is all your freaking fault, man.
Yeah, it really is. But props to Roku for at least like owning up.
Yeah.
He's not gonna put all of this on a 12-year-old. He's gonna be like, no, some of it might have been my fault.
And then we get another glimpse of Yue, who helps him. She guides the waves to get him to shore. Which at first I was like, why couldn't Roku just help? Which he couldn't, because Aang couldn't access the Avatar state. That would have been impossible. So it was nice seeing Yue again.
Yeah, it was a nice tie-in. Nice.
Yeah. I wonder did Aang ever tell Sokka that he saw Yue?
He didn't want to make Sokka jealous. I saw your dead girlfriend. See, that doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, he'll be like, well, did she say something about me? She's like, no, she didn't. She just said I have to save the world.
Yeah, see, it would have just brought up. It would have just come from a bad place. It's not good.
And that is essentially. So then he ends up on the island. He falls asleep somewhere. they reunite with him, and they all just like, hey, we're gonna go and do this together. So Aang gets over his initial uh, his initial anger and frustration with himself, which might be a little bit too quick, especially
Well,
going into the next episode, which is just like super kind of more wacky
yeah, it's
compared
a
to this.
wacky from the mood for sure. But what about that epic closing shot when he leaves?
Oh yeah.
Can't forget about that.
The thing about this episode is that it's really weird because it's the first episode of the season, but I think this episode feels a lot more epic. Like you can hear it, and I'll get more into it, but you can hear it in the themes and the theme songs and everything.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the next episode.
Yeah. I think this ends with him leaving his glider. And
it burns in the volcano.
Which
Sticks
is
it in there and torches.
Yeah, he definitely. This is actually really interesting to me because this is the moment that he actually does willingly give up his identity, which he has kept like very, very close to him throughout the entire show. In fact, there are a lot of times during the show when I was like, would you really just come out and say that you're the Avatar? Like, maybe we should just like, keep that under wraps. Like,
maybe put out feelers first. Like, hey, how do you guys feel about the Avatar in general? What's his approval rating?
I hear he's pretty cool.
He's a good guy.
I'm really just waiting for someone on one of these Facebook groups to like share a video of mine, which it hasn't happened yet. Which that's a little bit thinking too highly of myself. But like someone might be like, oh, well, the thing I don't like about Objective Geek is this and this. Like, I'm be like, you know what? I think he's a pretty cool guy. He seems like a
Chris, you point me in the right direction. I'll make it happen for you, okay?
Okay.
But yeah, no, like Aang has kept that. He is so adamant about his identity. He's so proud of. He's so accepting of it, and he owns that title of the Avatar. And this is the first time that he willingly gives all of that up. Not only his title of the Avatar, but also his Airbender status, his culture. He gives that away. And I think it is kind of the turn that he needs to make, because it kind of moves his mind from, hey, this is not all about me right now. This is a group effort. It's going to take all of us to win this war. Which I think is a huge theme in the third season. In book 3, it's about the teamwork and how they're going to have to come together, and all of them will play a part in the finale. So yeah, that's a big moment. I love this moment. But then you're right. It's things take a turn for the weird in the episode immediately following this. So there's that. But it ends on a really epic high note, I think, or like a very ominous note. I'm not even sure if it's like exciting, if it's just like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, way more ominous.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the episode. On to ratings. I'll try to do it real quick. Audio visual, I'm surprised. But honestly, I went to this episode being like, this episode's okay. But looking at the audio visual, I think Jeremy Zuckerman really stepped up his game here with the score. Like, it was done so well as if this wasn't the first episode. And this grade really got raised up mostly because of the voice acting by Mae Whitman in that scene. So it gets a 9 out of 10 there. Mm-hmm. For story, 8. It's a good jumping off point for the next season. There's a lot of great character moments here, I think, for Zuko and for Katara, and not as much with Aang, really. I mean, I buy what he's going through, but to me, it just didn't hit as hard. But still, good story here. 8. The memorable gets 8.5. I think this is kind of memorable just because this is the first time we see Fire Lord Ozai's face. And also, again, I just really always cling on to that moment of with Katara, with her father. So that gets an 8.5. Brings the score to an 8.4 out of 10.
I don't get the same stuff out of this episode. I think it's just the sort of the epitome of the types of episodes that I don't like as much. We talk about time and time again where this is more like a big picture episode. It's very flat, and not flat in an uninteresting way, but it's a sort of The whole episode is sort of dramatic tension, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like that in my episodes. I like gratification in independent stories. So anyway, audiovisual is the thing I think of. The ending scene with the glider kind of catching up in flames. That's pretty cool. I didn't pay enough attention to the score. I could be missing something important there, and I should pay better attention. Story 7.5. It's interesting enough story to see Zuko go home, and we talked about all these parallels lining up and going through all these emotions and guitar and all that. Fine. 7.5. Memorable. I remember seeing Ozai's face. Again, I remember like the certain imagery of seeing Roku and Iwe and the glider catching on fire. So there's certain things that stick out to me. All in all, it comes out to a pretty, I don't want to say respectable, but it's above average at a 7.8. Jaimee, what do you think? Where are you feeling on this?
Yeah, so this is also kind of like Chris. I went into this episode rewatch thinking like I don't actually remember this and like nothing important, but then I was like, oh wait, this is actually like really important, and yeah, the audiovisual was really strong. That being said, I think just the way that this episode sits, it feels a little weird because it really is just the inciting incident of a bunch of future stories. It's not really its own story. And also, I think it gets weighed down by the next episode.
That's probably fair. Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah, so I think there's like just issues with tone there, and like I don't know what is going on with Aang for like the first 5 episodes of this season. So yeah, there's that. So that all that being said, I feel like my scores are going to look lower than I actually feel about this episode, but that's just because this season is so strong. AV, I give it an 8. I think there's a lot of really interesting scenes and what they do with the style, especially like the Fire Nation, the look of the Fire Nation actually being there. I thought that was really, really cool. And all of Zuko, everything that they do with him, I think is really cool, as always. Who's surprised? Story, I gave a 7 because, again, I think parts of it are super important, but it doesn't stand... It's not standalone. It doesn't stand alone in any way, really. And also, I'm a little weighed down by kind of the jarring... the kind of unexplained... stuff that happens with Aang in this episode. I feel like it really comes out of nowhere, but anyways. And memorable, I give this a 6 because I remember Zuko in the palace, and I remember Aang throwing his glider away. And that's kind of what stands out to me about this episode. So, all in all, I don't know, what is that?
Somewhere in the
probably
7.
an average 7. It's 7, yeah.
7-ish, give or take. Yeah. So divisive
Drop down
episode.
like 7. It is a divisive. It is a divisive episode.
But I would say that nobody would argue that it's not important or insightful to the bigger picture, at least, or at least a nice like expositional opening to the 3rd season. I think it still fits that mold, no matter how you feel about it.
And I don't necessarily disagree with all the points you guys made, because like I said, I went to this episode like, oh man, like I feel like I was gonna watch it. I was like, I could probably still go ahead and figure out my ranking here. Like it'll probably be like a 7 average, like a 7.5 or something. And then for some reason, I just noticed so many other things that I just really loved about it. So I don't knock you guys' scores at all.
As usual, you and Jaimee watched something and you grew in the process, and I didn't. I'm not proud of it.
I feel like my rating should be higher, but that being said, I actually don't want to give it anything higher because there are 10s in this season, and those are really hard to come by for me. Like I very rarely actually have like a 10 out of 10 episode, and there are several. I don't want to give out too many high scores when there are truly episodes that deserve that rating. So I feel like 7 is almost generous, to be honest, but it's a good, solid episode. A lot of important things happen.
I feel like I'd go back and I should pay better attention. Usually I'd say I'm pretty good at paying attention to things like animation style or the score. And for this episode, for whatever reason, it didn't catch my attention, but maybe there was more to him than I was given credit for. So that'd be the one I would maybe most likely to change if I went back and paid more attention. It happens. Hey, how about any final thoughts on this episode? Are you getting psyched for season 3? Chris is coming out swinging. He loves this episode. Obviously, he's going to love the rest of the season more than season 2.
I would say this season, I'm really interested to get Jaimee on a couple of these episodes because it can be fairly divisive.
Yeah, and the next one
especially
is
the beach.
The next one hits a low for me. The beach, obviously, among our group, were very divisive. I think.
I can't believe you don't like the beach. Like
I
never said
so
I don't.
much.
I know. I can't believe that Shawn doesn't.
But it goes against everything. Think of it like kind of compared to this episode. It fits the same mold of. It goes against all of the things that I typically prefer in an episode. It doesn't do any of this.
There's that. It's a standalone.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't stand. It doesn't. If it's only exists to be like exposition for the larger story. That's it. And the standalone story included in it is boring. It only exists as exposition for everything else.
Wow.
It'll be a fun debate.
Okay. Well, how many episodes out is that? Maybe we should plot and schedule a little bit to get Jaimee on that one, because that'd be a fun one to. That'd be a fun one to talk about.
I was never, whether or not you guys were allowing me on for that episode.
It's not very far in. Yeah, it's just a couple episodes.
I think it's episode 3.
I was back into your podcast call whether or not you asked me to be on that episode.
You'll be able to see when we're both active on a Friday night at like 12 in the morning. Well, Saturday morning. And then you'll just jump on a video call. No, plot out your schedule. I think that's probably on the next round of recording, maybe. And that'll be a fun one to talk about. And I recognize what it brings to people, but it doesn't. I don't skip episodes because doing that would kill me. But if I were going to skip episodes, I would skip the one that we hate in the first season and the beach. Those are the two that I'd kick out immediately.
Yeah. Wow.
Suck it, Chad.
Oh gosh, the beach isn't okay. So the beach isn't until episode 5. Actually, I was tripping.
Okay, so it's a couple off. Well, that's good. Jaimee needs some time away from us to gather her thoughts and think rationally again.
We'll probably review the headband and the painted lady in the same or at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Sokka's master and the beach. So those are some
drawing episodes, man.
I do. I love Sokka's master. That one's good. Painted lady, I feel like that one will come out a little average, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next one, I'm not a huge fan of at all.
FYI, Aaron Ehasz wrote The Awakening. So.
Oh yeah, strong.
And,
good work, Aaron. Basically, friend of the show, Aaron.
Katie Matilla. I don't know who Katie Matilla is. She wrote The Beach.
Ugh. No wonder it sticks out like a sore thumb.
They might have gotten somebody different to do that episode because it is so tonally different and it's just really off the wall for the rest of the format of the show.
Guys, we don't want to write this one. Can we outsource this to like a cheap third party?
Except
she didn't. Looks like she did not write any other episode in book 3 at least.
Oh, okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. I won't. But come on.
They were like, we don't know how to write this story that's not about the story that we're directly telling.
Yeah.
We need a new, fresh perspective for these characters.
Ooh, no, this is what happened. They thought they had 20 episodes. They got to the end, they only had 19, and like, guys, we need another episode. Like, what do? I've got a pointless idea. Let's plug it in here.
I hate to tell you how wrong you are.
I can't wait to be told. Listen, I'm not about to give zeros on this podcast, but I'll toss out some 5s. Like, you ain't gonna scare me. I'll toss out an F grade.
I feel like you completely missed it.
She also so far Katie Matilla has only written The Tale of Zuko and The Tales of Ba Sing Se.
So she's also responsible for that.
Yes.
Oh no. I like that little story.
I like it.
Oh, I'm dying.
And I can't
I'm sure.
find...
I'm sure she's a beautiful person and a great writer. But you've just
sure she's a
listed
great
off
writer.
some of my least favorite works. I'm sure she's great, and she contributed to my favorite show, and that is merit worthy in its own right. Thank you, Katie person, whose name I can't pronounce or remember. Katie Matilla.
Katie Matilla?
That one. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yep. It's just how I said it. Well,
I really want to listen to the commentary. Anyway.
This is good. This is great build up. We'll get Jaimee back on in a few weeks, and we will have an argument that will easily be more interesting than the episode that we're talking about. So come back and join us for that. Also, come back and join us for the stuff in between, where we'll talk about episodes 2, 3, and 4 naturally. In the meantime, thank you very much, Jaimee, for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you back, especially to talk about such divisive, not that this one is particularly dramatic, but divisive, interesting episodes. And for last week's episode, which was a whole lot of fun.
Oh boy, that was a time.
I can't wait to go back and rewatch. That was a lot of fun. And to see all the things I missed and all the ships that we missed out on, all the ships we skipped.
We're still sailing ships out here. We have a whole fleet.
We did. We got to start taking notes for round 2. It's going to be fun. I got to be honest, way more fun than I thought it'd be. I'm not a huge ships person, but I really took a lot away from that episode in a number of ways. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Happy New Year. Jaimee, thanks for being here. Chris, thanks as always for being here and sharing your channel. And that's all I got to say. You guys got any closing thoughts?
Nope.
No? Awesome. Just how I like it. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Hand wave.